Hi, guys. Denise here with the TOWTalk podcast. Earlier today, I attended a press conference at the Town of Wallkill Town Hall in which they announced that Supervisor Frank Dandanto had secured $4 million to cover the budget shortfall left behind by the previous administration. What follows is that press conference in its entirety. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please make sure you subscribe to the channel, like and share with your friends. Click that bell so you get notified when new videos drop and when we go live on Tuesdays, starting tomorrow night. Today's Monday, June 8th. And leave us a comment of 7 words or more to help feed the algorithm. Without any further delay, let's get into that press conference.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We have a big announcement to make. First, let me introduce a few folks, some of whom are going to share some remarks, and I'm going to leave the introduction or acknowledgement of some of the town employees and department heads to the supervisor. One of the things I learned very, very early on in government and politics is you never want to be the person who goes through the list of names, because inevitably you always forget someone and then they get angry at you and blame you. So I'm going to let them blame Supervisor Dandanto if he leaves off
Why not?
anyone in the list. I'm James Skoufis, I'm the state senator for the Town of Wallkill and most of Orange County. You'll also hear from my partner in Albany, Assemblymember Paula Kay. As I mentioned before, we have our supervisor, Dandanto. Also speaking, I'll acknowledge the few town employees and department heads who will say a few words. We have Chief Hertman, we have Commissioner Baker, and we have Deputy Commissioner Dawley, who are going to share a few words on the last couple from the DPW and first the police chief. We're also joined by our great county legislator, and I see our clerk over there, and any other electeds that I'm missing. I'll let you introduce your council members, Frank, if you don't mind.
Not a problem.
So there's a lot of hyperbole in politics and government and public service. There's a lot of exaggeration. This is the most terrible thing. This is the best thing in the world. What we're about to share, the setting of this table, was a extremely, truly grave situation here in the town of Wallkill. And I'm not in the business of pointing fingers as to who's responsible for what I'm about to describe. But the simple matter of fact is the town is broke. And come the start of this November, absent intervention, end of October, start of November, the town would have no money and would be forced to lay off, not attrition we're talking about here, these are layoffs of 97 individuals who work for the town, including 42 police, 21 DPW, 21 general administrative positions, 9 parks for the water and sewer department. These are just facts. Most towns, most villages, other municipalities, cities, the county have very healthy, significant reserves, fund balance, surpluses. Come again the fall, the reserves in this town we're going to hit zero. There'd be literally no money to meet payroll, and that's why these almost 100 layoffs were on the horizon. The supervisor reached out to the assembly member and I several months ago, I think back in February, maybe early March, sent along 30-something pages in a document, really going through line by line the situation. Certainly we evaluated that document, we made our own judgment, but we also, because we're representatives and we only have 4 eyes, 2 between each of us, we shared this evaluation with our Assembly and Senate Finance Committee, and in the Assembly it's the Ways and Means Committee analysts, lawyers, who for a living dig into documents like this. And they came to the same determination that the Assemblywoman and I came to, that the town had come to, which is that this was a very grave situation. This was not hyperbole, which oftentimes, as I said before, we see in this line of work. And so we got to work, the assembly member and I, budget negotiation. Unlike the federal government, we actually pass a budget every year in New York State. We're constitutionally mandated, obligated to pass a budget annually. It's supposed to be done in early April. This year we went a bit past that. And unlike the federal government, we don't have printers in our basements in the Capitol building where you can just print money and run deficits, and you've got a multi-trillion-dollar national debt. But we actually have to have a balanced budget every year in New York State that we pass in the spring. And so a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, we passed our budget after very significant negotiations on this and a whole host of other issues. And we're very pleased to announce that these 97 layoffs will be averted because the Assemblywoman and I were able to secure $4 million for the town of Wallkill. This is a really big deal. In the 14 years I've been in the state legislature, I'll speak for myself, 6 in the Assembly, 8 now in the state Senate. I've never had to deal with a local issue quite like this. Never had to deal with a multi-million-dollar budget crisis in a community that I represent quite like this. But most importantly, partnering with the town, partnering certainly with the assembly member who's done an incredible job in her first term on this and many other issues, we were able to make sure that this budget hole was filled and filled responsibly. Now, the last thing I'll say before handing it off is the vast majority of people, they don't expect the world from government. They expect basic services to be provided by government. If you have kids, the expectation is that there are good schools for your children to go to. If you get sick or hurt, there is an expectation that you have good healthcare providers, including hospitals in your community. There's an expectation that government is doing everything they can to keep your community safe. And at the center of that, obviously, is a well-supported police force. There's an expectation that your roads are plowed in the wintertime, and that potholes are filled by your local highway department or DPW. People don't expect government to solve all the world's problems. But when government can't even meet those expectations, that's when government has failed. And in this case, the town was on the verge of being a failed government. I'll be blunt. But because of the partnership that we all have here, Assembly, Senate, and town officials, and I have good relationships with members of both parties, town officials in the town of Wallkill. So this is not any kind of political point. Because whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you expect those services to be met. And we were able to work together and make sure that those services, those expectations are going to be able to continue to be met in this town. So this is a very good day here in Wallkill. It is a day where I think a lot of people are sighing a major sigh of relief in the town of Wallkill, and the about 30,000 residents in this town can rest assured that their officials have their back and will continue having their back. Thank you very much. I'm now happy to introduce Assemblymember Kay.
Thank you, Senator Skoufis. Thank you to Supervisor Dandanto for making the pitch to us. That was clearly ultimately successful. But I have to tell you, we could use a lot of sports terms here. The bottom of the ninth, we're in a soccer match and we're up to the penalty kicks. This was a tough go. This was down to the wire. And although folks on my side certainly looked and said, Wallkill has a significant problem, it wasn't immediately, and we're going to help fix it. we had a lot of convincing to do. And part of that for me was these jobs. And we talk a lot, and you hear a lot in Albany about helping out the cities, helping New York City, helping Albany, Rochester, helping Syracuse. But why is a job in the town of Wallkill valued less than a job in New York City? It's not. And that's what I did to convince my leadership that we needed this money and we needed it right now. So I am thrilled to be here to have partnered again with Senator Skoufis to be able to deliver this $4 million to ensure that jobs are not lost in the town of Wallkill, that payroll continues, that essential services continue, and that Wallkill can move forward in a positive manner. And thank you to the town for providing us the information that we needed to get the job done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, nice. You know, I spent a lot of time having this conversation, and I gotta say that it is, I've been using this word a lot lately too, it has been humbling to see the amount of support that we have gotten from our state representatives. And I have taken to referring to them as the dream team. They are absolutely the dream team. It, in no short order, has single-handedly saved the town from imminent disaster. And I am not using those terms lightly. And I know that I've been saying this now since January, probably before. Actually, I know from before, around September, that the town was looking very, very, very bad. And in January, when I was met with, on the second week, when I was met with, hey, we don't have enough money for payroll, that's when I knew that the problem wasn't just hyperbole, that the problem wasn't political, the problem was very much real. This year's economic downturn has amplified the devastation that we are faced with, because in the world where we can look to ratables, the town of Wallkill is quite literally one of the strongest economic engines in the county, and we can't even look to that mechanism to help save us. We have got to look within ourselves, and what we discovered was we were found wanting. The reality is, had the Senate and the State Assembly not stepped up, this diagram next to me would have been a reality. 70% reduction in PD, 70% reduction in DPW, 50% reduction overall at the town in Building A. That resonates with our residents. That's not just a few roads not being plowed. That's a lot of roads not being plowed. That's a lot of police cars sitting fallow in the parking lot and not on patrol. Now that's a reality for this town. And that is not red or blue. That is the simple math of the matter. This situation has been argued on both fronts, and it has been argued to me specifically that it's not the state's role to step into this as a safety net. But this position flies in the face of what actual government is, and the senator spoke about that today. Government sits to service for individuals who cannot service for themselves. We are here to do the roads. We are here to make sure your water is drinkable. We are here to make sure your communities are safe. When we fail in such a miserable economic way, we fail the entire community. And when that became evident to me, it became my mission to solve this problem. The reality is this: if the humanity of that statement, that government is here to help those who cannot help themselves, then why do we have government at all? Why? For this. Because if the dismantling of a community is not a big enough reason to have aid levied to you, then what is? We are so thankful to the state for seeing the need. We are thankful for them and their heavy lift so that we can carry forward and continue this work of refiguring how to get the town to function in an economically sound way. This is not the magic pill. This does not solve the problem. This does not change anything other than this. 2026 will not fail. The town will survive, and the town will be here to continue on providing the services that it offers through the remainder of the year. We will use this as a springboard. We will use this as an opportunity to look forward into 27 and make sure that 27 and 28 create an economic engine that works for the town, that fills the town's coffers, and that allows the town to continue to provide the services that it must. At this point, I'd actually like to introduce the councilmen who have helped me in this process. Councilman Saleo of the 2nd Ward, Councilman Vanilla of the 3rd Ward. They were instrumental in helping me pull together some of the numbers. I will tell you, I have an arts degree. I have an MFA. And what I'm learning recently is that this is actually the degree to have because it makes you think outside the box. And we had to do a lot of outside the box thinking about how to get this to work. And they were very instrumental. But also, too, I could not have done this without the staff of the town. Each and every one of the departments looked inward through January and February. They stepped up and answered my call when I said, everybody cut by 20% right now. And they did that. And so I want to thank the departments, all the department heads that are here. Some of them will speak. The chief of police will be talking to you in just a minute, Commissioner of DPW and the deputy commissioner, to talk a little bit about what the impact is of such an opportunity that's been presented to us. But again, without their abilities to think outside the box and think critically about what the problem is and not politically and actually recognize what the reality is on the ground, I could not have gotten to the place where I have made a cogent ask of our state representatives. So I thank them humbly as well. They have done a tremendous job in this effort. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to the chief of police.
Thank you, Supervisor Dandanto, and good morning, everybody. I'm Robert Hertman, Chief of the Town of Wallkill Police Department. I thank and congratulate Senator Skoufis, Assemblymember Kay, and Town Supervisor, and the Town Board for their great accomplishment. Assemblymember Kay mentioned sport analogies. I think with that number on the chart, 42 for policing, I would use the sport analogy of sudden death because the potential impact on our community could be devastating. But for your efforts, collectively, our department may have faced reductions in, among other things, obviously staff is indicated on the chart. As many are aware, our department has several innovative approaches to crime prevention, including, among others, our Police Youth Coalition and our Junior Police. Staffing reductions that have impacted these programs, leading to long-term consequences in our community. Furthermore, staffing reductions have reduced our ability to engage in traditional policing, for example, arresting violators. It is noteworthy that arrests this year are up 22% already over last year. Clearly, staffing reductions would have reduced our ability to arrest suspects that target those who reside, visit, or do business in our town. Thankfully, because of the great efforts of this team, Senator Skoufis, Assemblymember Kay, Town Supervisor, and the Town Board, we can continue our innovative approach to crime prevention, as well as continuing targeting those who commit crime in our town. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. At this point, I'd like to bring up the Commissioner of DPW, and then followed by her, the Deputy.
We're going to speak together. Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor.
As you've heard some people say already, the purpose of government is to provide for the people what they cannot provide for themselves. This is especially true in the Department of Public Works. Through our highway, water, sewer, parks departments, we provide essential services to our community. They've come to rely on us. We provide the roads, drinking water, recreation opportunities, building maintenance, plowing, roadside mowing, response to emergency situations, and a multitude of services too numerous to list. If we had to cut our workforce substantially, the effects would be catastrophic. Parks would be closed, summer camp would be closed, roads would not be repaired or plowed. Simple things we take for granted like running water and flushing toilets would be impacted. We are extremely grateful that the Town Supervisor Frank Dandanto, along with Senator Skoufis and Assemblymember Kay, had the foresight to face the situation head on and to come to a solution that would benefit not only our residents, but our employees as well. Thank you.
Thank you. The last thing that I'll mention before going out, if anyone has any questions, I want to underscore something that the Assembly member mentioned. The budget negotiations were, as I referenced, quite long this year. They start in January. They concluded in mid to late May this year. And it is fair to say this issue was one of the very last items negotiated in the budget. And so it is no exaggeration that this was a bottom of the ninth, 2 outs type of situation. And it's because of all the reasons that the Assembly member and I have articulated, which is that this is not something that happens hardly at all. If it does happen, the focus is on the cities, and there was quite a bit of focus on some of the cities' budgets around the state this year. This type of item is really, really difficult to get across the finish line, but we knew how important it was to do so. With that said, one other thing, and this will be, I think, a separate either press conference or announcement, is, and Legislator Carter from the county reminds me of this. Layered on top of this situation, you had a situation in county government, an error in county government that would have also impacted the town of Wallkill and every other municipality in this county. The county was erroneously over-distributing sales tax revenue in violation of the state law that allows them to share that sales tax revenue. And the town of Wallkill, I imagine, had hundreds of thousands of dollars at risk of being either lost or clawed back, absent a separate fix that Assemblymember Kay and I and the rest of our Orange County State delegation undertook. And we were successful on that item as well, and we expect the governor to sign that fix in the coming weeks. So there are a lot of issues that we contend with in Albany. This particular session this year, there were many of those issues were speaking to very significant financial problems and concerns facing our local communities. And so we were very happy to fix that one as well in partnership with county legislators like Legislator Carter. Any questions, press or otherwise? Good, John? Yeah. Okay. All right, great. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.